Hello and welcome to Fraggle Talk Classic, the unofficial Fraggle Rock podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. My name is Beth, and I am rewatching for the millionth time.
My name is Julia, and I'm rewatching for the first time in 10 years, but this episode for first time in 2 months. Twist.
J'accuse! My name is Adam, and I'm watching this for the first time ever, which is also why we're doing this as a podcast and not a vidcast, because then you'd be watching me watch this for the first time in forever, and we'd get sued by Christopher Nolan for ripping off Inception. And then, give us a K!
K!
Give us a T!
T!
What's that smell?
Not much.
Kaylin!
You gotta be going.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it smelled... I've been saying your name wrong. I'm so sorry.
It was last time.
Oh,
So,
that's
so
right.
now I get to be Kate.
wasn't it? Anyways, please introduce yourself.
It's Katie Lynn from toughpigs.com, and I no longer live in a cave.
Aww.
Yay!
We like caves around here.
Some electricians came by and installed some lights in my ceiling, so it's very bright
excellent.
now.
That sounds like a good option to have, but not one I would normally prefer. But like a good tool to have in the toolbox, the ability to bring light into a space. Anyways, we're so delighted that you have joined us once more as a repeating guest.
Glad to be back. You all are so fun.
Welcome back, Katie Lynn. Welcome back,
Ooh.
welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Appropriate.
Ooh, thematic.
I didn't even plan that. Today we are talking about episode 5 of season 2, Uncle Matt Comes Home, which originally aired on January 30th, 1984. Written by Jerry Jewell and Susan Jewell, directed by Eric Till, who I found a great quote in the tome. Eric Till, this is his first episode of Fraggle Rock that he directed, but he would go on to direct a whole bunch more, and also directed The Christmas Toy, which is one of my favorites. I don't care how other people feel about it. And also Lighthouse Island from the Jim Henson Hour, which has a reputation. I'll just say that.
Infamous.
There's this wonderful quote here in the tome. It says, Till admits that when he began directing episodes, he would give notes directly to the puppets. But the puppeteers were very charming, and they just ignored me, he says. The puppets would nod and respond, but it took me ages to overcome doing that.
That's adorable.
I love that.
That still reminds me of the story. They were doing an interview with Kermit, and they couldn't figure out why the sound was trash until they realized they'd put the mic on Kermit, not on the puppeteer.
Yes.
I think it's easy to forget when you're on set with all of... I mean, it helps that the puppeteers are so good at what they're doing, and then the puppets are just so beautifully created that you want to just talk to them. They're so lifelike.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you know the puppeteers are doing a good job, right? If you do something right, no one will realize you've done anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this particular episode does a really great job of that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there's so many good ones.
So I reviewed this episode for Tough Pigs in February, and I chose this episode on a whim, and I love this episode. It's so thought out, it's so meticulous, and it does such a great job, as we'll get into, like, displaying the growth of a relationship between a parental figure and a younger person, and the shifting of that, the dynamics of that relationship, and it's so friggin' good, guys. Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of meat on these bones. I really appreciate the like level of crunch that they put into the crunchy in this scenario. So we start off with Gobo going to get a postcard from Traveling Matt, and the standard sort of Sprocket going to chase him afterwards happens, but we get something new, which is Sprocket is barking at the wall, and Doc is like, there's nothing back there, and then Gobo says, woohoo! And Doc hears him.
Yep.
Which has not happened. This is absolutely new, and I was immediately on the edge of my seat, even though I figured they would probably find a way to sitcom their way out of it. But this is a really good, like, oh, yes, you can understand the Fraggles when they talk, and you can hear them, and now you're investigating.
Yeah.
Not only investigating, he pulls out a tape recorder and an automatic tripwire camera. This is the man who in season 1 was like, we're gonna try to figure out how to put a button on a fried egg, and suddenly he's like, here's all of my high-tech gear, Sprocket, we're gonna set up camp, and we're gonna catch this thing. And it's like, okay, Doc, season 2 Doc is coming in hot.
Well, and I love the framing of that shot, because they basically just put a shelf in front of the camera, and so it's shooting through the shelf as if we are in the closet, which Like, have we been in the closet the whole time? Are we being creepy audience people?
At least in this shot we are.
Voyeurism.
I mean, definitely at work, we're probably in the closet because, like, you don't know who you can trust there. But I'm usually, like, not in the closet, like, with my friends and stuff.
I mean, I am literally recording this podcast in my closet.
Beth, I just want you to know that we accept you and we love you for who you are.
Aw, thanks.
You can come out anytime.
Anytime
As a
you want.
podcaster.
There's a joke in there about, like, queer hide and seek, and I'm just not coming up with it, but it's there.
It'll come to you.
Anyways, so he comes back in with this postcard, and he's talking to Wembley, and he gets so excited, and there's this great little bit of line. He says, Wembley, what's the most amazing thing you can imagine? And Wembley says, owning more than one shirt.
Which, okay, in a previous episode, it was established, there was the joke, you know, Wembley's gonna go and pack his things. We only have one spare shirt. Okay, I'll go pack my thing. So he has two prints of the same shirt. That's how I'm making this joke work. It's the same shirt, but there's two of it.
Yep, go ahead and put another tick mark in the Wembley is neurodivergent column.
I love how genuinely excited Wembley is for Gobo.
It's really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a note that Wembley is being his best friend, Wembley, in this whole episode.
Yes.
He's a great hype man, like throughout, but especially in this episode in particular.
So they find out Traveling Matt's coming back, and so they decide they're going to throw a party, and we meet a new Fraggle who I don't think we've seen before, the conductor Fraggle.
Yes.
Who is this, and do we see them again? Because I love this person.
This is Gillis Fraggle, who is appropriately named for the musical director, Don Gillis. Hold on, let me pull up his page on Muppet Wiki to see if he comes back, because I don't want to make any false promises.
Does he come back?
Oh, you could just make a regular promise, and then if it turns out to be false, I'll just have all of my hope crushed and stuff.
I don't want to do that to you.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Oh, let's see. Oh, okay, yes. Gillis Fraggle is going to come back several more times.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Now, why... So, in my head, Gillis Fraggle is, like, storyteller Fraggle. And, like, he might be the keeper or a writer of songs. Like, she is a keeper of the stories of Fraggle Rock. So, like, why does he get a name versus a title? Or do we think that, you know, storyteller and world oldest Fraggle, like, those are their names? That's just what they were named.
Yeah, we don't know, like, was Storyteller Fraggle, was that the name she was given at birth? Or did she adopt it along the way and everyone just started calling her that and forgot her original name? We don't know.
I mean, her full name is Storance Electrica Fraggle.
What?
Oh, no. I messed it up. Her full name is Storance Electrica Teller.
Oh, Teller.
For me, at least, it seems like those two positions have more to do with history and the perpetuation of culture. Whereas the conductor, it seems like his job is to more sort of arrange and conduct songs for events.
Yeah, it's unknown if he, at this point, it's unknown if he's like the keeper of all songs or just like, hey, when we need to sing a song together for a specific purpose, here's how we're going to do it, and we're going to do it right.
We've seen a lot of songs at this point, and we've seen a lot of the Fraggles singing as a group, and this is the first time this character has emerged, and for some reason I thought that this was the only time we saw this character, but I'm assuming even though he will come back, he's not going to be a super frequent character.
Correct.
in like every episode, so, you know, he's more just like a delightful Fraggle who's like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to help arrange some stuff occasionally. With a turtleneck on and some glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, his outfit is absolutely amazing.
It's amazing.
It's a very good outfit. I also love this song.
Yeah.
This song has a lot going on. There's a lot of really good harmonies. There's a lot of really good layering. And the whole thing just kind of feels like a really good metaphor for, like, diverse community coming together to create something that's greater than the sum of their parts.
I love that. Yeah, each group of Fraggles has their own little part of what they do, and it starts out with just kinds of background sounds. We get boings and we get ding-a-lings, and then we start to get, you know, we get the rock clams back singing welcome, and then they start to come in with actual lyrics.
I love the background singer plants. I also think that, like, earnest boings would improve, like, any choir performance. But they gotta be earnest. Whenever the grown-ups try to do boings, it's always kind of condescending.
Also, the choreography of this song and sequence is amazing, both with, like, the camera work and how many puppets there are, and like some of them are wearing like costumes that seemed like they were made for this sequence, and I feel like their budget was so much more this season compared to season 1.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have little fascinator hats.
Mm-hmm. They had little choir robes when the choir comes in.
Choir robes.
Yeah.
That was very good.
There's a guy with a medieval-looking feathered cap and a lute.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, also, the decorations and the cake? Uncle Matt's cake?
That was a very good cake.
Yeah. So do you think that it's more like a pavlova with the radish meringue, or do you think the radish meringue is just the topping?
It seems like, yeah, a pavlova would be my guess of like the harder baked meringue for the bulk of it, and then, you know, obviously a very fluffy frosting. But that this little carved statue of Uncle Matt on the top holding a radish, it's giving dating profile pic with a fish.
Oh.
You know what I mean.
I mean, we already, literally the episode before that maybe we just recorded, we did talk about what a catch Matt is. So
Everybody's thirsty for Matt. That's just how that works.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't make the rules.
At least in his head.
No, he pulled twins in the last episode. What is a pavlova? I feel like I've heard of it. It's like ringing a bell, but it's not quite coming to
Pavlova
me.
is super
there's
popular
like
in New Zealand.
You make a meringue
get
and
it?
then you bake it, and there's like
Get it?
fruit and whatnot. And
Get it?
wait, what?
What's a pavlova? It's
Oh.
ringing a bell, but it's not coming to me.
Oh, like
God.
Pavlovian. Okay,
Oh my
got
God.
it. Yep, back on board.
Oh
I
my
actually don't
God.
know what a pavlova is, and your explanation was very helpful, but two birds, one stone, am I right?
Ah,
I also love that they like plan this whole party, and when he doesn't show up, they just kind of have the party anyways.
yes.
Like, can you imagine somebody being like, dude, your birthday party was awesome. What are you talking about? Like, my flight was late. Yeah, but like, we weren't going to not have your birthday party. It's your birthday, man.
We were all already there. We sang the song,
Started eating the cake.
started eating the cake.
You know, by the time he does finally arrive, they're all like so exhausted from having practiced the song and waiting for him for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So they've introduced this concept of the Crystal Cavern, which is supposed to be impossible to find, but also the most beautiful place in the universe. And we've now got that, once again, dynamic of, you know, Red versus Gobo.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying that Uncle Matt is not a great explorer, and Gobo's like, no, he could even find the Crystal Cavern. And no, specifically, together, we could find the Crystal Cavern.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important part for Gobo, is that he's ready to go exploring with his Uncle Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I wanted to... Gobo tells them, when my Uncle Matt went away, I was just a kid, but now I'm an explorer too, which... On first glance, I kind of like roll my eyes a little bit at, because I'm like, Gobo, it's been one season. What are you talking about? But, you know, thinking about everything he's gone through in that one whole season and also these first few episodes, it's been a lot. He's done so much on his own without his uncle, and he's really actually grown, and he's so like ready to be like, my uncle is going to see me as this like whole new person, that I'm so capable of doing this, and I can be his equal. That's, you know, that is the expectations Gobo is putting on the situation.
I feel like he's still very much a jerk, but he's gotten a lot more competent
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
in a way that he wants to feel seen and recognized in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we get, I mean, Gobo, again, touching on the previous episode with him kind of being a jerk, it's funny because he was doing that to Red in the last episode, and now we get Red kind of being the jerk to Gobo in this one. So especially like that dynamic is still very much in play. But while he does still have some like childish tendencies with like his friends, pulling some pranks and being snarky, we've seen him like kind of come more into his element, like with when Moki is the new trash heap, and then in Marooned, like he's had these big moments of growth, which he did not have at the start of the show. And so, you know, thinking that over, it makes perfect sense why he's, you know, he's psyched for his, and also it's his uncle. Is this correct that this is the only actual familial dynamic we have in Fraggle Rock?
This is the only canonical relationship that is referred to in family terms that we would recognize.
Yes. You know, and so who knows, maybe he is not Gobo's actual blood-related uncle, in those terms for this show. But, we are to understand that we saw, like, in season 1, a flashback to, like, baby Gobo on, with Uncle Matt. And so we know that Uncle Matt raised Gobo. And so it,
or at least was around when he was young.
Yeah.
Played a big part in his life. And obviously we also know that Gobo respects and admires him so much. And so it makes perfect sense that he wants to be his equal, and he wants Uncle Matt to be proud of him and see how far he's come.
Yeah, he wants to be seen and recognized for the skills he's built.
Mm-hmm.
And we see so much of that on screen, both with Gobo talking about it, but also with Red. Like, Red's pushing of the issue, saying that they could never do it together because, she's ribbing Gobo as well as doing her usual critique of what she actually thinks of traveling Matt, and her pushing that button is what really pushes Gobo's motivation throughout the rest of the episode. And I think that's really important to see, because we don't have to this is the case, jump on board and believe it for the sake of the episode. We see Gobo's process, and I think that's really important to understanding what's going on in his head.
Yeah, they're really good about giving this, like, in-world motivations, which I deeply appreciate. Again, no seams in the world building. There's also just a great bit where she's like, you couldn't find your way to the pool, and so he tackles her into the pool.
Right? This shot.
Yeah.
This shot. What must have happened here is he tackles her into the pool, the Gobo puppet and the Red puppet go down below frame, the camera pans down, someone from the FX team had to make a splash in the pool that went up, and then they pop the Gobo and Red puppets up from the bottom of the pool and have them talk.
Yep. Which means that they had to have 2 completely different sets of puppets and 2 different sets of puppeteers. Like, here's, the main puppeteers with the dry puppets, and then backup puppeteers with the wet puppets waiting to splash up.
Oh, I thought it was just like a quick change, but like a glove.
Oh, I think it's got to be too quick for that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Plus, I'm pretty sure they made specifically versions of each character that were a little more waterproof.
Yeah.
Yes.
One would hope.
Mm-hmm.
And can we talk about how awesome Karen Prell is? Like, she's a freaking legend. Her sarcasm in Red and the faces she makes with her, especially in that scene, like, it is beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the episode before this, she had Red do an impression of the Creeper Marlin, and, like, seeing a puppet do an impression of another puppet is some next level puppetry. Good God.
It's incredible. Yeah. And so we get the thread here that Gobo says, someday we'll hand you a golden crystal that we brought back and you'll say, I'm sorry. Which I kind of wish we got that in all the episodes where someone's being a jerk to each other and then it ends with an actual I'm sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have a golden crystal.
Oh, that's the key. Okay.
Gotta have a golden crystal.
That's how apologies work, right? You have to give somebody a golden crystal and then they say they're sorry.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also
That's why I'm broke.
in the theme of the episode of acceptance and change, but
That is true.
we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah. We cut back to Doc and Sprocket, and this is the one. So there's a knock at the door. Sprocket has fallen asleep waiting to catch the Fraggles, and Doc goes and opens the door, doesn't question that there's no one there, and then immediately goes, "Oh, look at the stars!" And it's very ADHD moment where I was like, "Yeah, I get that." But while looking up, Matt makes an entrance into the workshop, and here we see probably Matt's most competent moment, where he assesses what is the situation with the camera and the recorder. In some, maybe he doesn't fully understand, but he knows enough where he barks, and then when that wakes Sprocket up, he runs. And so that way...
So first he he sees the camera.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Knows that this is going to capture an image of him if he crosses the tripwire, and so he aims the camera at Sprocket instead.
At Sprocket. And then he barks, and he dives into the hole. And so the recorder hears the bark, and also the picture is then taken of Sprocket. So then when Doc comes back and is like, "Oh, do we get it?" He's like, "Sprocket, it's just you." So props to Matt.
Now, kids, once upon a time, there was this thing called Polaroid film.
Polaroids are back, Beth.
Now I know what you're thinking, but those aren't the steroids they give polar bears to get them really big. No, it's a different thing.
I've seen a lot of young people who have Polaroid cameras. They're like so small and compact now compared to how Polaroid cameras used to be, but
Right.
they're back in fashion.
It used to be a big deal that you could see the picture right after you took it.
Oh yeah.
So I also really just appreciate that, like, we get this as Doc is walking out and Matt is walking in. It's just a really good, just depiction of scope and scale. You know, we say, oh yeah, this is like 4 different species that are all knee-high to each other, but this is the first time we've seen, aside from the traveling Matt ones, which always have a bit of a weird perspective.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've seen a Fraggle just full-on standing next to a human without the framing being either on the human or the Fraggle. The framing is just on the scene, and we're like, no, yeah, he comes up to Doc's knee. That's about how that works.
Yeah.
We also get this great puppetry moment when Matt goes into Fraggle Rock where he does a somersault. He comes through the hole, and the way it must have happened is they had a pair of legs, so he goes down, the legs come up, and he pops back up. It is so unnecessary to everything else going on. It's just such a cool trick. It's, you know, again, Fraggle Rock, they're so good at everything that they do.
Yeah. No, in quick succession, he, does a flip into the Great Hall, is knocked backwards into the arch, and then face plants into the cake.
Yeah.
Which, talk about life goals. Who hasn't wanted to face plant into a cake?
Right? What an entry, too. Like, I wanna walk into every job interview like that.
Well, and that is the triumphal arch covered in moss that Moki contributed.
Yes.
As what they should do. And so, yeah, life goals have just triumphal arches everywhere.
Triumphal arches everywhere, cake with a little statue of yourself on it that you can face plant into. Which, of course, gives Red the opportunity for the sick burn. You were right, Gobo. He is a great explorer. He found the cake.
Oof. Brutal.
And we get this shot of Gobo where he doesn't really have a retort for Red for a change.
Yeah. No, he's slowly starting to realize, oh, maybe I've been hyping this guy up in my mind.
Yeah, he's had his uncle on a pedestal for so long, and now that he's been on his own, he's finally able to be like, maybe my uncle is a fallible creature and not actually perfect. What? You know, as we'll see throughout the rest of the episode. Especially in this next scene where they go to, Gobo and once was Matt's old room, and he's telling them of like all of his outer space adventures, but how he's finally ready to be home.
When they first go in, there's this great establishing shot of, we see to the right of the door that we don't normally see, there's a wall of postcards and a picture of Matt hanging on the wall.
Oh, I missed that entirely.
Yeah, so it's like visually establishing Gobo as spending his time thinking about and honoring Matt.
Yeah. Which, we'll get more into it as the episode goes along, but Matt comes back fully expecting to be worshipped and honored because that is how he has known his relationship with Gobo throughout the time of them being together. That's such a cool detail. I can't believe I missed that.
I missed that too.
But, Matt says he's tired of being alone, which is understandable. He's been in this world of silly creatures who do perceive him occasionally, but it's never quite clear what his relationship is to the silly creatures and if they really understand what he is.
He says you can't make friends with them.
Yeah.
Which is sad but understandable. Like, if they're not actually seeing Matt for who he is, then of course you can't make friends with people who don't truly see you.
Yeah. I also appreciate that he's like, I'm going to go to my old bed. And Gobo's like, actually, that's like Wembley's bed now. And Wembley immediately says, oh, no, it's fine, Gobo. It would be selfish of me to want to sleep in my own bed. Which, Wembley, my dude, my guy.
Oh, buddy.
He's the ultimate people pleaser.
And then we get this really cool conversation where Gobo's like trying to talk to Matt and trying to be like, hey, I kind of, can we go find the Crystal Caverns? And I just love the framing of it because the camera's kind of tilted up a little bit. And so we have Gobo in the foreground and traveling Matt in the background. And we can just feel like the disconnect is so beautifully visually represented because they're not looking at each other. They're not on the same level height-wise, and they're not on the same level like foreground to background-wise. They're as different as they could be in this place. And then when Gobo finally makes his bid, Matt's already asleep.
Yeah. So what I love about that shot is that there's, like you said, the emotional resonance to it of like, looking up at this figure, and, the metaphor of looking up to someone is now literally you have to look up to see him. But it's also a very clever puppetry trick of having Matt go to sleep in one shot without having to switch out to a puppet with closed eyelids.
Yeah.
Because the Matt puppet does not have closed eyelids. But since it's shot from below, all Dave Goelz has to do is tip the puppet's head back. And now you're seeing the bottom of Matt's head, and his lower jaw is like blocking the view of those wide awake eyes. And so now all he has to do is make the puppet like, snore gently, and then boom, you got asleep Matt.
That's wild.
That's great.
Yeah.
But before he falls asleep, he calls Gobo young whippersnapper, and Gobo has this moment of being like, oh, no one calls me that anymore. Further setting the tone of this entire episode.
Which, I looked up the origin of the word whippersnapper.
Ooh.
I bet it's not great.
Oh, is it not?
It's less horrible than you would think.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So, this is from phrases.org.uk. Whippersnappers were known by various names, all of them derived from the habit of young layabouts of hanging around snapping whips to pass the time. Originally, these ne'er-do-wells were known simply and without any great linguistic imagination as whip snappers.
Okay.
I appreciate this dynamic of like, and I think it's one that a lot of people can relate to, of parental figure who hasn't been there for a while, or maybe you went off to college, maybe they went away for a while, and when they come back, you want them to see how much you've grown, and they see you exactly as you were when they left, and that's a really difficult dynamic.
Yeah.
You're basically quoting Julia's review.
I mean, yeah, that's...
Yeah, totally my own words. Definitely not... let me just minimize the tough picks window real quick.
Plagiarism. No, that's, it's very true. Like, I think that this episode really hones in on, the parental guardian type figure not being ready to see the younger mentee, younger child fully, like, that they have grown. They still like are stuck in this image of them, and then also both wanting to be seen as an equal, but also realizing this person you've looked up to your entire life is just a person. They're not perfect, they're not idealized, and then just like the butting of heads that also comes with like growing and suddenly having these issues with a parental figure. There's a line in the article I wrote which I fully took from one of my poems where I think it's something along the lines of like, sometimes people are not... No, I can't remember. Hold on. I think I wrote it down because...
That's such a beautiful, disjointed line. Like, what an awesome stream of consciousness poetry line. Sometimes people are... Wait, no, I don't think. Hold on, I wrote it down. It's really organic.
I did write it down.
You're
Okay.
a great poet. Thank you.
The line that I wrote, which I plagiarized from one of my own poems, is sometimes you grow into a person others are not ready to see you become. And that feels like a huge part of this, where Matt comes back and he's like, this is my nephew Gobo. He respects it and admires me. He's going to follow my lead. And Gobo wants to be an equal. He wants to be his own person. And Matt's not ready for that. Matt thought he was coming back to be, this explorer everyone like really... I don't know if everyone looks up to, but, Gobo was always the one that would look up to him, and Gobo's not there to play that game anymore. And, there's just like conflict that arises from, all of that with their relationship. And I think this episode handles this like so perfectly. It's great.
Yeah. And when Gobo finally does breach the subject of going to Crystal Cavern, Matt automatically assumes that he's going to lead the expedition. And Gobo's like reassuring Webley, like, no, we're doing it together. And, throwing in young laddie and little fella.
That moment, I wrote a long paragraph on it in my review. That moment where Matt suddenly exclaims, like, I'm going to lead this expedition. And it's this, like, 3 to 5 second exchange between Wembley and Gobo, where Gobo is immediately, like, taken aback because he wasn't expecting that. And Wembley, like, lowers his voice and asks Gobo, like, I thought that you were going to do it. And Gobo tries to, like, reason, but he's so thrown back. It's such, like, a quick, small moment, but it says so much about, like, their relationship, that Wembley knew that this was important and he's checking in with his friend to see what's going on.
Yes.
And Gobo's trying to save face, but he's so thrown, and like it's just it's so masterfully done, and it says so much about their relationship and the situation. And I'm such a big fan of this episode, guys. It's great. No notes. So many notes, but no negative notes.
I mean, speaking of your favorites, we get Follow Me again.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yeah.
no notes, but how many yeses?
Did you just bring it back?
He just had to say that.
I didn't. We did. I made that joke before we started the episode.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So this is a callback to something that doesn't exist. I have become Waluigi. Anyways,
Oh boy.
we get a reprise, and we get the first moment in this episode where I got genuinely angry because they're singing together, and it sounds really good, and it sounds really pretty, and I love this song.
Yeah.
And Gobo starts singing his own verse, and Matt kind of like chides him for it. Which, first off, we've not seen any concept of ownership of music in Fraggle society at all.
Yeah, no.
And second, even if there was, if I wrote a song and then someone, like one of my students, wrote more verses for it, I would be nothing but excited.
Yeah.
That's a great, awesome if something I wrote inspired somebody to want to add to the thing that I wrote, that's the highest of compliments.
Not to mention the fact that in season 1, episode 1, Gobo did sing that whole verse by himself, and Matt was fine with it then.
Well, so my theory is that in episode 1, before Gobo starts singing, Matt says, "All right, Gobo, now you sing, you go." And so then Gobo starts singing, and in this one, we see Matt like taking this deep breath to go into verse 2, and Gobo just keeps on going and singing, and Matt didn't give him permission or ask him to sing. And we get this moment of Matt like in the background, and his hand is like outstretched, and he's looks so like lost for a second. Probably because Gobo doesn't need to follow him anymore. Gobo is leading himself. And then instead of like accepting this or having a conversation, of course, then Matt's like, "Hey, actually, this is my song. You need to stop."
Yeah.
You know,
Can we
takes
talk
it in the wrong
about the little
direction.
sniff at the end there where his mustache goes down? Like, how does that happen? Is that a mechanism? How did
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
I feel like we've seen it before, but yeah, we've never really talked about it. I mean, Dave is so good.
So there's also the fact that Gobo is leading in a physical sense while this is happening. Because you see, while he's singing, Traveling Matt goes the wrong way and then turns around to follow Gobo for a second, then catches up and tries to go ahead. But then, Gobo's off on his own. He's like, no, I'm doing my own thing.
Well, there's also a small lyric change in the song, because in the
Yeah.
original first version, it's calling me away, and in this one, it's showing me the way. And I have so many interpretations for this episode. In the first episode, they're both being called to these new things, both outer space and taking on this new mantle in the Fraggle community. And in this one, I guess, like, showing me the way, like, they know the way, they've been shown the way, and they're both trying to make this new thing work, but what they already had going was like the thing that was working the best for them and where they both were happiest. And yeah.
I love that.
We get to see Wembley catch up with Gobo's maps. And Gobo's like, "Wait, don't you have maps?" And Traveling Matt's like, "Oh, I never use maps. I'm waiting for a typical stroke of genius." And I just want to point out, mapping caves is really hard. You're trying to make a two-dimensional representation of something that exists in three-dimensional space and uses all of that three-dimensional space. This isn't a building. You can't just have like layer-by-layer blueprints. Caves twist and turn without any concern for what would ease a cartographer's mind or hand. And Gobo's been mapping these caves for a while now.
Yep.
Didn't he inherit some maps from Matt?
Yes, he
also?
did. Yeah,
So
Matt
there's that.
specifically says, like, "Oh, I haven't used maps since I left for outer space,"
yeah.
indicating that he used to use them. And yeah, Gobo has definitely talked in the past about, like, "Oh, my Uncle Matt's old maps." But it's also probably understood that he was making more in the meantime, making more of his own.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. you know, here's the thing. I think that they're both not wrong in the systems that they like. Gobo likes maps which have knowledge and history and context and all of these things that like will help guide you and help guide others. And Matt has been out in outer space where he didn't have access to maps, and it's so much bigger than the caves of Fraggle Rock, and he's needed to like lean on his environment and deducing things in his surrounding. And so, and as we see, because we, in the next like series of events, like one of them is suddenly ahead of the other, then suddenly the other one has like made it further. They're both not wrong. They both of them have different pros and cons. But because of everything that's happened so far, they will not see eye to eye on this at all.
It is very interesting because Traveling Matt basically says, oh, well, nobody's ever been able to find the home of the Rock Clingers, and nobody's ever found Crystal Caverns. Obviously, those two things are the same place, which sounds ludicrous, but it turns out he's right.
Yeah.
And it is a trip to think about, like, once you've been doing something for so long, you can make these kind of intuitive leaps that seem like nonsense to someone who might still be in the place of that development where they're building that sort of intuition. But that doesn't mean that either of you are wrong. It really does sort of highlight two people trying to connect but having two different sort of lenses or methodologies for understanding reality and just missing each other completely.
Yeah.
Which I relate to a lot.
But is it any more ludicrous than finding a cavern that you don't know where it is on a map?
Thank you.
It's not on.
How does Gobo have maps that show, oh, Crystal Cavern should be right this way? I thought you said it couldn't be found, sir.
Yeah. It is also like this show when they're like, no one's ever seen this thing, no one's ever found this thing, and then they find it by the end of the episode.
I mean, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit if you don't have a decent level of cultural, generational history and knowledge.
Can we talk about the Rock Clinger?
Let's talk about the Rock Clinger. Which we get a few more later. This main one is played by Lee Armstrong, and it is supposed to be not only the cutest creature in the universe, but it will fall in love with you and cling to you and never let you go.
It looks like if you crossbred a Furby with a Bratz doll.
You know what? You're not wrong.
It's so uncomfortable.
And like a slinky.
Yeah,
because it's also very long.
It is springy, yeah.
Yeah. Gobo yelling, "Don't look at it, Wembley, don't let it fall in love with you," is great.
Yes, warn your friends when they're about to get into a toxic relationship.
There you go.
And Henson famously hated the cute things and being accused of having cute things. Like Bean Bunny was the cutest.
Oh, yeah.
That he would allow the Muppets to get.
Yep.
So these are also like, that's why they have such a disdain for them, because they're cute and they don't do cute.
And that's the thing is I feel like what he's leaning into here is how deeply unsettling cute is if you see it in reality. Like we've established the science of cute means like head that is slightly too big in proportion for its body and eyes that are slightly too big in proportion for the head, because that's what babies look like. But like any time where there's been somebody who's like, hey, here's what it would actually look like if you saw this two-dimensional cute thing in life. It's terrifying. It's deeply uncanny valley.
Right. I feel like the Rock Clingers are very much occupying that space where, like, it is cute and also unsettling.
Yeah.
And who loves it? Uncle Traveling Matt.
He's totally into it.
I mean, he likes being worshipped. He likes attention.
That's true.
So that brings me to my question. Do we think Uncle Matt is a pathological liar? Or do we think he has narcissistic personality disorder?
Neither, because I don't like armchair diagnosing stuff unless I'm seeing myself in a character. And so with seeing like other traits in characters, I'm hesitant to pop a diagnosis on them. But Matt...
Hey, it's me, Papa Diagnosis. Come on in, kids. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Matt, we will learn, is capable of growth and capable of admitting when he's wrong. It takes a lot to crack through that, to get him to that place, but he can do it.
So, Katie, I think it's neither. I think he's just a boomer. Like, I think he's just so used to having societal power and being right and competent, and he also hasn't had society around him to check him. This is actually, fascinatingly enough, the third time we're seeing the theme of people who are detached from society and what that looks like and how it changes you. And in Matt's case, it really seems to have stagnated his ability to relate to people like they're people because he hasn't had to in so long. He's had one-way communications that are just him telling people about what's been happening. He hasn't had to listen.
Yeah, and especially with Gobo. I mean, he plays the respect your elders card with Gobo.
Yeah.
And then also threatens to spank Gobo.
That I was so mad. I was so glad that Gobo was like, yeah, you come over here and try it. Like, yeah, good. Stand up for yourself, Gobo.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, this definitely is a show from the 80s.
Yep. What do you think, Katie? Which one do you think, if either?
Well, just because how much he loves the adoration of the rock clinger, the fact that he expects everyone else to, think he's so great, and the fact that he doesn't, like, people who lie just to lie, they will then lie about the lying, etc. Whereas he just keeps doing what he's doing without realizing that, oh, they've caught on to this, I gotta change my tack. So, like, I feel like he's got a god complex where he just wants everyone to look at him.
Yeah, like I said, he's a boomer.
But he was like that before he left the rock. So I'm not sure, isolation and outer space necessarily did this to him.
I mean, I don't think it made it so much as it just sort of exacerbated it and didn't give him a chance to exercise the parts of his personalities that compensated and counterbalanced it.
Mm-hmm.
And also just being gone for so long, I think coming back, he has this expectation that he's going to be, celebrated and carried in, and people are going to be cheering for him, and it's not living up to his expectations, so he's also probably lashing out at that thought as well.
And yeah, when you're away from your community that's supposed to be grounding you and reminding you of, how to interact with your fellow people, you're away from that for too long, and it's gonna bring out the worst in you.
I mean, if you are the only person in your universe for a long time, you're gonna feel like the only person in the universe.
Gorgs, anyone?
Hey,
Oh, this might be a good time to bring up. There was amazing conversations happening on the Tough Pigs Discord. Everybody go join the Discord. There's fantastic stuff happening over there.
Everybody join the Discord. Everybody make an account. Everybody join the Discord. I'm stalling and giving Beth time, but I can't give more than this amount.
I feel like you need to turn that into a disco song for the Discord.
Ooh.
Ah, yes. Disco. Corporations. If you need to insult people, buy our product. Disco.
So this is from Kellerific. I just had a thought. Being neurodivergent is a lot like being traveling Matt. Everyone seems to know what they're doing, and you're like, okay, I guess copy the silly creatures, but you don't really know why you're supposed to do that. While I was in high school, I tried to look at it from Matt's perspective, maybe so I would feel less alone. Anyway, he would see a bunch of young silly creatures staring at a squished metal brick, a cell phone, and tapping on it. Why? I don't know. I could not find a squished metal brick, but I looked at and tapped on a rectangular brick, and it was really boring, because bricks don't do much. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wanted to fit in, do what everyone else was doing, but I often didn't know why they were doing those things, which is why neurodivergent people are secretly Fraggles exploring outer space.
Aww. I'm gonna tuck that in my pocket. I love that.
Right?
I mean, I definitely was an alien autistic person, and the way I try to talk about autistic spaces is it's like finally going home to Mars. Martian culture is so much better than Earth culture.
We get Matt now verbally recounting one of his adventures, where he goes to a ski resort, and we get some amazing puppetry shots of a skiing puppet. What?
Mm-hmm.
So that he can earn a white thing on his leg, which is a cast. Specifically, he wants a white thing on his leg because these people seem to be revered and waited upon. Mm-hmm. Which is another glimpse into Matt's psyche.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it just? I don't know. Skiing and snowboarding accidents are legit terrifying.
Oh, yeah. I want nothing to do with that. Like, good for you if that's your jam. That is not my jam.
But falling down into a giant pillowy pile of fresh snow is about as close as you can get to, like, jumping into a pillow pile.
Oh, yeah. Like falling into snow at 0 miles per hour. Cool. Awesome. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
being a puppet that's then yeeted into the air and then breaks. I can't remember if he has one or two casts at the end of the postcard segment.
I think just one.
Okay. He has a broken leg, and he seems super chill about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the least, like, a fractured leg.
1.5 broken legs, plus or minus a half.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I also like that he does call it skiing.
Yeah.
So oftentimes he makes up the word, but I mean, skiing is basically a made up word to the Fraggles anyway.
That's true. Yeah, he either comes up with his own term or he just, like, gives a description of, like, they put poles on their feet and go down the white stuff, you know. Yeah, but he does call it skiing, which struck me as, like, odd as well.
I want to jump back real quick because there's that scene where they're both, like, he's following the rock clinger and Gobo is following his maps, and they, like, meet up and come back together several times, with each time one of them is ahead and got there first.
Yes.
And that happens over one take. The camera just sort of slowly pans right and follows them moving around several different obstacles. And it's just, again, the camera work is already clearly just so much more creative, but they're getting a lot, like, tighter with it and a lot more elegant about it.
Yeah.
Which I deeply appreciate. And they wind up meeting up and getting into this just huge argument. Everything comes to a head. And Wembley keeps just being like, can you stop? Oh my God. And he's people pleasing just so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wembley's the reason that Matt tells this story, because he's like, hey, a postcard always makes us all feel better.
Yep.
And it's funny because normally Gobo is the one who's so excited for the postcard, but going into the story, Gobo's like, yeah, I don't think he doesn't want to hear it. And then after Matt tells the story, Gobo says, yeah, that was interesting, if true. And then that's, like, kind of when things really start blowing up for them. There is such a funny moment where Gobo just, like, says a flippant thing to Matt to make him angry, and he says, you can't even lead your way to that rock. Mm-hmm. And Matt's response is to yell, what, this rock here? This rock, Gobo? This rock? As he goes over and hugs it. And it's just such a ridiculous escalation, like, on saying such a stupid thing, like, this rock, like, obviously he can find the way to the rock that's a foot away from him, but he's, like, so in the mode of being angry that he just keeps yelling it over and over again. And it's, I don't know, it felt so real where sometimes you're locked in an argument with someone and someone just says something and it's, like, a dumb thing that obviously, like, isn't true, but you take it so personally and just drive it home. There's a lot of, like, great moments like that, but that one felt true, and it also was just the way Dave performed it is so funny.
Oh, yes.
It's great.
It's also really interesting seeing them argue because they both are so hung up on being right. Mm-hmm. And I think there's, like, potentially another dimension here because, Julia, you've been quoted as saying that Gobo has white guy with a guitar energy. And we've also sort of talked about how he has main character energy. And it really seems like Uncle Matt also has that. And there's a chance that Gobo got it from Uncle Matt.
I learned it from watching you.
Exactly. And so this isn't just like, I want you to see that I've grown. This is also Uncle Matt realizing that his kid, basically, is acting like him and not liking that.
Yeah.
And the number of times that I've had parents just get so angry at their kids for talking to them the way they talk to their kids.
Right?
It is a fascinating thing to me that people will be like, I want my kid to be just like me, and then when their kid is in fact just like them, they're like, oh no, I don't want you to treat me like that. I want to be able to treat other people like that.
Yeah.
Your kid can in fact be a mirror in this case, and it's not their fault if you don't like what you see in the mirror.
Yeah.
I'll get off my teacher soapbox now. I'm sorry.
No, it's an appropriate one, and I identify a little too strongly with Wembley in this scene. And there's this moment where it, like, so he keeps trying to, first he's introducing the postcard of, like, to smooth things over, and then when that doesn't work, he keeps, like, trying to interject himself into the conversation, and then eventually he's just, like, puts his head down and puts his hands over his eyes and starts hyperventilating. Eventually he just, like, wanders off on his own and says, and I thought they were heroes. And that line was so heartbreaking to me.
Well, because it's also Wembley coming to realize that his, his thoughts.
He's idolized Gobo.
Yeah.
And now, exactly like you were saying, mirroring those same traits that Matt had, he's now seeing that in Gobo. Like, oh no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dang.
The dangers of putting, like, family and friends on a pedestal. Yeah.
So Wembley just leaves, and he goes and finds the Crystal Caverns,
Yeah.
Yes.
which does turn out to be where all the rock clingers live.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that both Gobo and Traveling Matt are like, well, yeah, okay, Wembley found it. Neither of us really found it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think it doesn't Traveling Matt be like, oh, I found it. And Gobo's like, I mean, Wembley found it. And Traveling Matt just sort of acknowledges that and accepts it. He doesn't try to fight that.
No, they both at first try to claim that they found it,
Yeah,
and Wembley is the one that breaks and is like,
Gotcha.
I found it, guys.
Or because there's those lovely repeating lines like, I found him. What about me? Why would I find you?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And they both come to terms and they're like, okay, you did find it. And then they point out that, you know, working together, they don't do that well, but I think one of them says working alone, we're wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, it's a tiny little thing, but I absolutely love it. When Wembley is appreciating the postcard or the story that Matt just told, he goes like, that was wonderful, Uncle Matt. Wasn't that wonderful, Gobo? That was wonderful, Uncle Matt. He does that 3 times, extending the N in the word wonderful. And then when Matt says it back to him, he does it right back. He says, working alone, we're wonderful.
That's great.
Like, that was really sweet.
I had not caught that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is the point where Matt realizes that he is not done with outer space and that, Fraggle Rock he's not ready to come back here yet. And, and Gobo, I think Gobo's the one who tells him that at first, and Matt says, you're right. I think there's some, belief that maybe he didn't want to, leave Gobo, but they've come to terms of Gobo doesn't need him anymore, and he can go back and keep exploring outer space where he feels, at this point, probably a little bit more at ease. That is the space that he's become used to being out in. And there's more to discover. Which
also does kind of have sad, you can never go home again vibes to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're in the Crystal Cavern, and Matt says, the most beautiful place in the universe? Ha! Not after you've seen a used car lot at sunset.
It's chef's kiss.
Which is a bonkers take, but all right, dude, if it makes you happy, chase your bliss.
Right? Outer space has become more home-like to him. When he comes home, he's kicked out of his bed, and, his nephews all grew up and not worshiping him anymore.
It does kind of remind me of, vets who come home with PTSD and, don't know how to fit back into the real world, so they just join up in the army again, because it makes more sense. Although he's not making a bunch of money for a colonialist power, so the comparison does fall apart there, and I think there is genuine personal enrichment to be had in the act of exploration and trying to study another culture.
I love that this conversation that they're having about, no, you really should go back, and yeah, you noticed too that I was unhappy. They're having this conversation over the Whoopee cantata. He's back, let's sing the song, and now we're going to have a serious conversation over the silly song happening in the background.
Do you not have all your serious conversations over silly songs?
Not often enough.
Wow, what a weirdo. I keep a Spotify playlist of all of VeggieTale's silly songs with Larry on lock, just in case I need to have a really serious emotional conversation.
Oh, my childhood just was unlocked. Silly songs with Larry.
Oh, no, I really like also the, so Matt says, besides, if I go back to outer space, you can once again worship me from afar. And Gobo's like, yeah, I'd like that. And then when Gobo walks Matt, back to the hold to outer space, and Matt's like, oh, you have to take care of my rock clinger now.
Well, he specifically says, I have something to give you.
Yes.
Gobo's like, really? And he says, yes, it's my rock clinger. I can't take it with me. Good luck.
And Gobo says, oh no, I'm being worshipped from a near.
I wrote that line down too. That was good.
Same.
Does Red actually apologize, by the way?
She does,
okay.
yes.
Because I didn't write that down and I don't remember it, but it does feel important.
They give her a crystal and she apologizes, which is the thing we've wanted from more interactions in the ends of episodes. And so it's just a nice thing to see for someone to say, I'm sorry, you know?
Yeah.
It should be so easy.
And also, she says, hey, I'm sorry I said you guys weren't good explorers. And then Gobo says, hey, don't apologize. Actually, it was Wembley who found the cavern.
Oh, right,
So
yeah.
even though, yes, she should apologize, I like that Gobo is now admitting, you were right that we didn't find it. Wembley did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really love that we get, Gobo's changed, we get Uncle Matt's changed, we get Red's changed, because it really shows how, like, you think that your idea of somebody is crystallized in your head, and then you can go through these changes, and it might take longer for some people than others. And I think that's also reflected in the changes of the songs, because the Whoopee Cantata changes from Welcome Back, Uncle Matt to Fare Thee Well, Uncle Matt. And so the changes of both of those songs, like in the subtle way that Julia was saying, also mirrors that theme of the episode, in that things can change. Some people change faster than others, but, change is possible.
Yeah, and you shouldn't just cling to your concept of somebody, because that's not always healthy.
Crystals grow really slowly, but they do grow.
If you water them, I think.
And then we get, Matt going back into outer space. He does fall into the tripwire, and the camera flashes, but he just takes the photo of himself along with him.
Mm-hmm.
He says, he's got this little voiceover like he would do on a postcard. The instant I returned to outer space, I was met by a little silver creature who gave me a present.
That's nice.
And Doc and Sprocket are just asleep on the floor through it all.
And I do love that they, like, him closing the front door wakes them up, and then they're both just sort of like, and Doc, like, pats Sprocket on the head, and they both just go back to sleep.
Their front door is also open when Matt leaves.
It was the 80s.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was the ADHD, which also valid.
That too. It was the 80s HD.
Oh.
Alrighty. Beth, do you want to tell us about the international versions?
So one little note is that in the opening scene, Doc is reading the book, The Cockpit Book of Knots, which is a real book, turns out.
Huh.
Ooh.
I enjoyed the wordplay there, whether this is a knot or it is not a knot.
Yes. The postcard shown in the U.S. version originally appeared on the German co-production, episode 112, The Finger of Light. In the German version of episode 205, Matt recounts how he bought a watch thinking it was a compass, which caused him to bump into things and needing bandages and plasters.
Cool. Shall we talk about how to make the world a little fragglier?
People in your life are going to change, but also your perception of people is going to change as well. And the best thing that you can do is to treat others with respect, voice the things that you are feeling in the moment, and then don't hold them back from continuing on their journey.
Well said.
Yeah, after that very sincere thing, I'll say that you should erect triumphal arches and bake yourselves meringues, just to make yourself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
If you're finding yourself in the dumps, those two really great strategies.
Excellent.
Perfect.
If your choral production has harmonies but no boings, you're doing it wrong. Get some boings in there.
If you want to find the impossible, you might need to spend some time with someone who's a little clingy.
No, don't explain that. That can be the Zen koan we let our listeners chew on.
Yeah.
Good, I'm not going to explain it.
You don't need to, and our listeners are not entitled to an explanation for that. Y'all want to plug your plug? Oh, first off, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for coming back.
It's fantastic to have you.
Of course. This was really helpful, because I'm not sure if you've talked about Back to the Rock at all.
Very, very
the
little.
New season just came out, and yeah, so I've just been watching that for the last 2 weeks, and then to come back to the classic episode and really immerse myself in just the subtleties and the slowness of the storytelling it's a breath of fresh air. You don't even think about how much storytelling has changed in children's television over the last 40 years, and then it's wow, this still holds up, and I love it. So thank you for inviting me back to talk about it.
Heck yeah, anytime.
We're so happy to have you. Do you have any work that you want to plug?
Well, I am one of the moderators of the Tough Pigs Discord, so
thank you so much.
Thank you for the work you do.
And talk about old Fraggles, talk about new Fraggles, talk about the Fraggles you made up in your head. It is all fair game. There's lots of other Fraggly fans, as well as really any other fans, because we'll got channels for
All
everything.
things Henson.
Exactly. So come on in and talk. So that's like the easiest place to find me. So we'll just leave it at there.
Excellent. You can find me on social media at Beth Anna Cook and occasionally writing stuff for Tough Pigs.
You can find me at Geek Girl Grown Up on social media, also occasionally writing for Tough Pigs. And I'll plug again, if you are in the Portland area, June 13th to 15th, there's going to be a poetry festival. Go to bigfootpoetry.com and come on out for some good times with poems. Yes.
You can't find me. Nana 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 nana.
All right, that is going to be it for this episode. Reminder to check out toughpigs.com. Give us a good review on your podcatcher of choice. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
Don't forget to dance your cares away.
Down at Fraggle Talk.
Boing. Boing. Ding-a-ling.
Perfect. Fraggle Talk Classic is brought to you by toughpigs.com. Fraggle Talk art by Dave Hulteen Jr. The Fraggle Rock mark and logo, characters, and elements are trademarks of the Jim Henson Company. All rights reserved. The Fraggle Rock theme song, written by Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee, is used with permission. Special thanks to the Jim Henson Company and the entire Fraggle Rock family. For more from Tough Pigs, please find us at Tough Pigs on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, TeePublic, and Patreon. Fraggle Talk Classic is produced and edited by me, Beth Cook. Thank you to Joe Hennis, the Tough Pigs Muppet Fan Podcast executive producer. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time, down at Fraggle Talk. We're known simply and without any great linguistic imagination as whip snappers.
Wow, it's wild that even that far back in time we had like useless wannabe.
You know I'm gonna have to cut that line.
Oh my god.
But you're not wrong.
It was worth it to see you just like fully veer back so you didn't have to laugh that loud on mic.
Oh, I try.